Welcome back to our St. Louis Blues rebuild in Franchise Hockey Manager 11. We start the 2031-32 season as one of the top three favorites to get the job done this season. Montreal Canadiens is the top team, and also Rasmus Dahlin and Buffalo Sabres as well are rounding out the top three. Florida also is one of the dark horses, but kind of crazy that we're the only team in the West. So hopefully that means that every other team decides to lie down and we have a good chance. But also Landon Dupont managing to crack the top three in terms of defensemen projected this season. Still can't do goalies, and no one in forwards is really coming up other than Carter Kostic. But one of the reasons why we're favored, and we're going to have to look at it in the standings first, but currently everything is a strength. So we'll look at some of the transactions that we did. We did do a little bit of wheeling and dealing, and hopefully we end up coming out the better at the end of it, but we did do trades. I'll do the trades first. So obviously we got rid of Olofsson, Malik as well. We gave up Witherspoon and Koch. Gunler we gave up for first next season. I know you guys aren't probably big on us continuously getting first round picks, but we can't really trade for players. There's no real value in it unless we're really going to do a deep dive. And I mean, it'll make a little bit more sense further on as I explain it. But we got rid of Benson as well and Forster to clear up cap. That's around $7 million worth of cap. And Zetterberg wasn't quite doing it for us. And then Huey played a couple games in the preseason, and it was one of the worst that I've ever seen. So 42 grade, nope, 26 grade for us. He did manage to get to 74 grade the next game with Ottawa Senators, but for the two games that he played for us, it was pretty bad. 732 save percentage and a 26 grade overall. Obviously, we had to part ways with him. There's no way that I can justify keeping a player like that. So we'll look into some of the transactions we actually did. That kind of makes a little bit more sense. We did get our backup goalie, Jonathan Reinhold, who looks pretty good. I mean, I don't really know where he came from, but the fact that he was available, kind of crazy. It didn't look like he got drafted by any NHL team. Yeah, USHL is the last anyone's heard of him, but he's 27, and somehow his mental's pretty good. So is his goalie rating, so hopefully he's going to be a pretty steady backup for us. We obviously signed Sven Kuhl, who's going to be making his debut this season with us. He comes from the SHL. He was a fourth-round pick and 98th overall a couple seasons ago, so not too bad for that. And then Roop Hintz was one of the signings that we ended up doing. We ended up getting him for 1 year, $4.2 million. He is obviously getting older, and he does have the defensive rating that I'm kind of looking for, and his offensive rating is pretty decent. It's just his physicals are starting to kind of suck a little bit, but obviously he's probably going to play bottom line minutes, and we might actually be able to use him. Veninen, we end up getting. He's going to play in the AHL this season, and we're going to kind of see how well he does. He is only 24, and he played in the KHL. I don't think he was drafted at all. As far as I'm concerned, he did not get drafted. So, not drafted by anyone, but the talking point of the town is definitely getting Tim Stützle for 6 years, $10.6 million. So not bad for that. That means that he is one of the most expensive players that we've ever had. But looking at our cap obligations for the next couple seasons, he is now going to be the breadwinner for sure. Between him and Bolduc, I could even decide to side with Stützle for next season and maybe move on from Bolduc if we have to. Dvorsky's making 6.5 next season, and same thing with Martoni. So we could even part ways with one of them if we really have to. But Roop Hintz is probably going to play this season alone for us. We won't trade him. We'll keep him on and maybe even send him down if he doesn't pan out. But Misa will play on the left wing, and Olsen hopefully getting a decent opportunity on the right wing. Stenberg getting another full season with us should be good for his development, and Spanberg, if he can stay healthy, should have a pretty decent season with us. I'm looking forward to seeing what Meyer has. He has an extension of $4.5 million, and I mean Zelezny, I'm hoping that has a good season as well. He's making his debut with Kuhl. In terms of defensemen, though, I think Palika's probably going to play his last game or last season with us. He is only 2.5 star, not even hitting the potential that I thought he was going to. So 2.5 star and 3 potential. I mean, he does look good offensively. Defensively, I mean, I've seen better for sure. But Reinhold, we're probably going to end up extending if we can. Yeah, 1.5 sounds pretty good for me. But this is the one season that we have before Trey Augustin ends up making $6.5 million. So looking in terms of annual, we do have around 18 million this season, so we could even make a big splash this season. Next season, we still should be good as well, 13.5. And just looking at our depth, we do have some players that are going to be pushing through for sure, but I'll look at the draft and what we end up doing as well. A lot of these players might feature in the next couple seasons, though. But so far, it looks like Aaron's probably one of the only guys that could probably have come up this season. Ryabov's going to start in the AHL as well, and Kazda on his last season that we end up having, and we're probably not going to end up pushing him up at all. Plamondon, kind of the same boat as well, and we have a decent amount of players that never quite got to the potential that we were hoping. So even Aspie, we can't quite bring him up. He's not doing nearly as good as what we would have hoped. He's played only a handful of games. I mean, he is a decent defenseman, a defensive forward. We could see him come up, bearing injury, but also we have Osgood coming up as well, who could be pretty decent. But we'll look at the draft and see what moves we end up doing and who we end up picking. I think most of it I did leave to our AI to kind of sell for the most part, but we did draft Brandon Watson in the first round. He looks pretty good already, five points in 5 games this season. But I don't think he's projected to go number 1. I think he's projected to go number 2. I know we don't need any right D, but I think that's also one of the reasons why we're kind of okay with letting go of Palika. But he looks pretty decent. Again, defensive rating not quite there, but does show that he can play stay at home. So I'm hoping that he does develop in that aspect as well. We got Dominic Janu with our second pick there. Currently, even this season, he has 8 points in 8 games, and we ended up getting him with the trade that we ended up getting for Thomas. So pretty good overall, I will say that. But looking at this season, he's probably not good enough to play for us for at least the next 2. So even if we end up having to wheel and deal some of these players, I will do it. For our third first round pick that we ended up getting, we got Johnny Mosley, who's already collected 7 points this season, looking pretty good overall. Nothing really standing out at the moment, but he definitely does have a decent amount of potential, I find. But an up and down winger, he can also play more of a defensive role as well if we need it. So obviously the points not necessarily going to be there, but his scouting did look pretty decent. We got him with the 8th pick, we got him with the 21st pick, and he adapts easily, pretty good IQ. And obviously, like everyone else, he is injury prone, which I never understood. But this is the wild part. Herbert Johansson, we kind of took a little bit of flyer on, currently 2 points in 2 games. But he is only 3.5 star potential, even only 1.5. But the part that could develop is obviously because of his determination. Only grading around a 55 so far, but this is the wild part. He was projected to go number 1. And we got him in the second round. I think we could have got him later, which is the crazy part. We took a chance on Ivanov, who looks pretty decent as well. He was projected to go 35. We got him at 63. So we obviously didn't end up winning the draft, but some decent picks that we ended up having. Yeah, he's more of a controversial player, so we'll just have to kind of remember that for the future. But I could easily see ourselves just kind of moving on from him if we have to. We got Dobson as well. He was a 183 pick. We got him a little bit earlier than that. 2A defenseman. His temperament's good and his physicals are decent. Same thing in offense. But overall, I think we should be pretty good with the players that we end up getting. But taking a look at the lines this season, it's going to look a little bit like this. It's going to obviously change a little bit throughout the season. Even Andreasen, what? I'm definitely butchering that. He might even get opportunities this season as well. He's only graded around a 58. Even Vernhoff only a 53 this offseason. And Plaxton shockingly with a 52. Augustin with a 55 so far. That's a bit rough. At least Reinhold got 92. But the bottom line is going to be Hintz, Stenberg, and Zaleski. Kuhl is going to be on the second line with Meyer and Olsen, and then Martoni, Baldock, and Spanberg. And then leading the team is Misa, Stutzel, and Dvorsky. Christopher and Palika on the bottom line, Plaxton and Vernhoff. I do kind of want Plaxton on the top though, but not much in terms of difference, I guess, in terms of minutes, but Villeneuve and Dupont leading the way on the top line there. So the first game, we're going to get it out of the way against Winnipeg. Let's see if we can manage to start things off against a division rival here. So 3-2 win here. And let's see how well we end up doing for this. For whatever reason, it did just stop. Hold on, let me kind of get the bearing back. There it goes. Sorry for that. It just ended up stopping. I think I just minimized it by accident, but we win 3-2. Misa with the first goal of the season, and he ends up getting a hat trick. Stutzel also getting a hat trick in terms of assists, so pretty crazy to start things off. Augustin also changing his grade to 100, which is fantastic for us. So let's jump to second game against Utah and see if we can manage to get a similar result there. Sorry about that. I think my mic was just giving me issues there. But hopefully we should be good. Reinhold ends up signing a 2-year extension, and we are looking pretty good this season. I do think that we do have a shot, hopefully starting off strong, not like the last couple seasons. But we do go on the road against Utah and LA, so we're going to get to see Reinhold and see how well he actually is when he ends up having to back us up. Especially, I thought that was our player for a second. Especially when it is probably going to be his debut as well, which is kind of crazy. So the Utah game, let's see if we can do it. We do win 3-2. Not bad. Zalesny ends up getting his first, and then Stutzel gets his first, and Spanberg gets his first as well. Managed to win 2 games in a row. It was a good start. Utah in second place. OT loss, obviously, from us. But we obviously will want to create as much separation as possible, even early on, facing off against LA and then Vancouver. Again, on the road, Augustin, for whatever reason, broken nose, and obviously it's going to affect his, it's going to affect him for sure. So, game against LA, can we manage to get a win here? We do. First shutout for Reinhold. Crazy. Meyer gets on the score sheet. Dvorsky and Singh, and then Baldock and Singh again. Singh doing pretty good. 72 grade in 2 games this season. And I mean, I would have never expected it from a 3rd round pick. We got him for the Shen trade earlier on in the season, so I find that absolutely insane. We now set our sights on Vancouver, who are currently 0-2. Desperately hoping that we don't end up giving them their first win of the season. But Utah trailing us just by the 1 point, and apparently Rube Hintz was also hurt. Gustin still taking a knock though. Broken nose, I don't know why it has anything to do with fitness. We do win that one 4-1 as well. Martoni with his first, Spanberg with his second, and shorthanded, and then Stenberg and Martoni get on the score sheet as well. So 4-0 in 4 games. I don't think we could have wished for a better start than this. Obviously, the injuries are something that I would have hoped that we didn't get, but the fact that we weren't Vancouver's first win is great. We do now get to play a couple games at home, except we're facing off against Ottawa, who 3-2. They could they could either have a good team or kind of make it difficult for us. Jury's going to be still out on that one, but nice to see Augustin doing so well so early on. And I mean, Reinhold looking pretty good too. So at least we know that if he ends up kind of suffering, we can kind of change things up if we have to. So Spanberg gets his third, Bolduc with his second, and then Cool with his first. Good to have it so soon. Martoni has 3 already. Probably better than how he started any season with us. Spanberg with 4, and then Palika and Dvorsky end up scoring before Palika and then Dupont end up scoring. So Palika with 2 in that game. Ultimately pretty crazy though. And they also have Wall. That is crazy. I don't know why I just scrolled down there to see that, but Wall ended up signing them for 3.8. I think that's a little bit more than what he would have wanted from us. But the fact that we already have 5 wins this early on is fantastic. I'll take any win whenever I can get it, obviously. But we now have to face the top team in the Atlantic, and this is going to be the toughest test. I'm going to bet. And at least Augustin is at 100% though, so the broken nose not really affecting him. We do win 3-2. It does take overtime for it. But Stutzel ends up scoring in Meyer as well in the second, and then Villeneuve with his first. Better late than never, scoring for us. And I think most players have a goal within 6 games, which is pretty fantastic. But 12 points to obviously lead the league. Philly very close though, 5-2-1, but obviously playing more games than we managed to. But still, good start to the season, and I'm liking it already. So we now face off against Calgary. Can we manage to keep this the good times rolling? Another game at home here, and we do win 5-2. Senberg, Meyer, and Olsen end up scoring, and then Stutzel and Olsen again. We now have to face off against Colorado again at home, so having quite the advantage here, and Colorado has yet to win. But I know if there's ever any theme to this, it's that we always struggle against teams that are struggling the most. So we're going to start this off as strong as we can. We do have Minnesota as our next game, so it is going to be a little bit of a test for sure. But if we can manage to just get one of these wins, I will be ecstatic. We win 6-2, so we get one of them out of the way very early. Meyer with the goal, Vernhoff with his first, Dupont and Misa score before Spanberg and Stutzel put the game beyond all doubt. And we now go on the road against the next top teams, though. I think Winnipeg's the one that we get the break from, but we do have to face off against Predators as well, who don't look like they're doing too bad. Obviously doing worse in real life at the moment, but obviously we're far into the future, so they should have a good chance. And let's see if we can win this one. We finally suffer our first loss, unfortunately, 4-0. Let's just see the grade, though. Reinhold still grading around 64, so not 100% his fault, but his 874 or 875 save percentage, not quite the best. It does still give us a 4-point gap on Minnesota, and we now have to turn to the Preds and extend our lead against every other team. So good thing we're not having any massive injuries at the moment. We've obviously had some knocks, and I think now that we should be healthy, we should be able to get this. We lose 5-3. Goals by Fyodorov with his first, Misa and Fyodorov again. I don't know if Fyodorov's really been playing that much, but suffer back-to-back losses. We now head to Edmonton, and hopefully we can steer the ship a little bit better than what we've started this season off, or at least the last 2 games. We started off pretty good, but obviously the last 2 games being a little bit rough. Noel Gunler injured. How long is he gone for? Oh my god. We have dodged an absolute bullet here. He starts off this season good, but unfortunately he is out for this whole season. Probably. That is crazy. Yeah, he's out for 6 months. We dodged a bullet. That could have easily happened to us, and we would have been screwed. Now we get their first round pick. They are doing good though, amongst 9 games. So it might not necessarily mean anything, but still, that could be that could prove to be very good for us. We lose this game again. We're not. We kind of hit kind of a cold streak here. Stutzel ends up scoring 2 in this game, but ultimately can't quite get the victory. We now have to face off against the easiest team, obviously. It's always the Oilers. I'm kidding, of course. And looking at some of the draft picks, Kennedy looking like he could be really good, but also at defense. We don't need another right D. So obviously we're not going to fight for the top pick, but some of these other players look pretty decent. Daniel Willick, I'm saying the name now, he looks good. I want him on the watch list. I think this is the guy that we're going to covet for sure. He just looks good. Apparently an agitator. I find that wild. Yeah, he's an agitator, but he can clearly do crazy things here. Obviously, Willick should be a good one for us if we can manage to get him. But that so far it looks like we can just hope that one of the teams doesn't end up picking him, and we could manage to get a gem on our laps for sure. Amongst 11 games, 8-2-1. So we suffer our first overtime loss against Anaheim there. We're still on the road though. I think that's the crazy part is we're going on the road so much, and then we face off against San Jose as well. So I think these are definitely things that can mess you up a little bit. Obviously, we're going to now improve all these because obviously I don't know why the off season always makes you have to readjust that. Obviously, we lose in overtime again. Stutzel with a 7th goal, shorthanded. Bolduc with his 3rd, Cool with his 3rd as well, and then Stutzel with his 8th, Spanberg with his 6th. But ultimately, McDavid ends up tying it before they end up beating us in shootouts. Who scored for us? Martoni scores, and that was it. They had Brad Lambert. I did not even know that, but we do have 18 points to speak of. 8-2-2. We started off so hot, and now we have to beat San Jose, who is the 2nd place team, away from home as well. So probably end up playing that, maybe even the Florida game. Florida was one of the top teams, and it looks like they're in 1st place as well. So if we can get a win out of one of these 2 games, I will be extremely happy. But looking like our schedule is pretty tough. I think we got to switch to our backup here because it never quite adjusts that. Reinhold getting a chance here. I mean, what do you do really? We lose 6-2. Awful. We only score in the first. Stutzel and Singh ultimately not good enough. Palika's injured. 1 to 2 weeks, so we'll put him to the IR. Then we'll bring up someone, Plamondon or Kersey. You know what? I'm going to bring up, Plamondon's hurt too, separated shoulder. So Kersey's going to get the nod just because of that. But he might not even play any of the games. So we now face off against Florida. Florida, actually, sorry, 5th place. We should be able to win this one at home. And hopefully we can manage to keep this lead. It looks like we've kind of allowed it to drop a little bit. Minnesota's quite on our tails and have 2 games at hand. And yeah, already tied with us is Winnipeg with the same amount of games. So we definitely let our lead kind of screw us over here. We're going to have to back-to-back games. Crazy. So Florida, can we manage to turn things around here? We do. 4-2 win at home. And Spanberg gets his 7th and his 8th. Bolduc gets his 4th, and so does Singh. But ultimately, doing pretty decent with the Gus. And we'll take a look at the stats here. We'll take a look at it actually in the standings first. In terms of league, though, we are 3rd place. So not the worst, but obviously the losing streak did quite hurt. We are 5-0 at home, 4, 3, and 2 away from home. So obviously playing more games away from home than what we've played at home. But looking at our team here, so far Stutzel leading the way with 17 points, which is refreshing since we haven't really had a point per game player in a while. Balduck also with 14. Spanberg, yes, that's awesome. 13 and 14 games. Martoni even getting 13 and 14. So hopefully this can keep up. Dvorsky with 13 and Misa with 12. Olsen with 8 and then Singh with 7. So it definitely drops down here. Let's see, Zalesny only really played, well, he's played 11 games. Only getting 1 point is a bit rough. Grade-wise, though, and we have a couple 50s. So, yeah, Zalesny, Rupins with only the 1 point, Vernhoff with 57 grade, and Andreasen or whatever, also not doing great. Goalies, though, Reinhold, despite having a shutout, is an 873, which I don't even know if that makes sense. But Augustin with 918, if he can keep this up, we are going to look very good. Reinhold, I mean, what can you really do? But 8, 1, and 2 for Augustin, not bad. Only losing once in regulation, and I mean, I think we have what it takes to get this this done. I mean, we're still at the top, but obviously teams are going to be on our heels for sure, and looking pretty good. I mean, 54 goals, 40 against. I mean, I'd rather more goals for than against than what we have here. If it could be at least like 60-40, then I'd be extremely happy. But hopefully, we can keep things rolling, and we'll come back probably in the new year here and see what we can do. Hopefully, we can manage to at least maintain this this record here and eliminate all the losing streaks that we're probably going to accumulate. But hopefully, we can manage to keep things going. Hopefully, you guys also like this series. Leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and thank you for watching. Until next time.